Welcome to the Dusty Futon Musicians Podcast. The Dusty Futon is revolutionizing the music industry one artist at a time. Every episode of the Dusty Futon features an independent and original artist from the San Diego area. Our host and co-host create a conversation around the artist and their music while making it a point to allow them to tell their story their way. We don't have any advertisers or sponsors, so anything goes. This is a chance for the artist to just talk to you, the fans, about why they do what they do, what they go through, and how they do this thing we call music. We don't charge the artists for this service. We want it to remain completely free for the artists who need it and the fans that want to find them. That's why we set up a Patreon page where your donation can get you behind-the-scenes access to audio, video, and photos, and even get you direct access to the artists. Go to patreon.com/thedustyfuton for more information. Help us revolutionize the music industry, one artist at a time.
So do I.
Thank you, Eddie. We appreciate that. This is Eddie Salcido, the blind pianist.
Wait a minute.
He's been working with our co-host Cory, and they've created some good country music here. Eddie, along with the help of Cory engineering it, formed blends of multiple different elements in this new album. Cory and I chat with him about the process. Let's go ahead and check in with Eddie Salcido.
All right.
There we go.
Now
Yeah.
you're on.
Cool.
All right, try refreshing your Dropbox and see if it showed up.
Hey, that's a little personal of a statement for you to make, sir.
Only if you take it that way.
I always take it.
Oh.
Good thing I was recording that.
Yeah.
Because we are live with Eddie Salcido.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on. I really, really appreciate this.
Hey, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming and lounging on my dusty futon.
Hey, it's my Dusty Futon. Thank you very much.
Are we going to have a
I thought
bitch
it was-
fight over the futon now?
I thought it was communal.
It is communal, but I own it.
Socialists.
I get to dictate. Everybody can sit on the futon as long as I approve it.
All righty then.
Perfect.
That is socialism right there. in
There
a
it
nutshell.
is. There it is.
So Eddie Salcido.
Yeah.
I think Cory wants to run this one because
I think he does.
because you guys. But let me first bring it home. Let me bring it down.
The white, Barry White.
What the hell happened? Oh,
I don't know.
Okay, I see what happened. Don't worry, we're still recording. It's just it likes to be stupid
The
occasionally.
charm of live radio.
You broke it.
Yeah. So we are on the Dusty Futon, and we love having local musicians of all sorts. Now, the reason you're here it actually happens to be because you were recording here in Ears Only Audio Studio right before we set up the Dusty Futon.
That is correct. Cory and I set up a session with Alan Camp, and we recorded two of Alan's songs, great songs. I really enjoyed playing the sax on both of those.
That's awesome. And so he brought you down here, and Cory reached out to me and said, hey, can we get him on the Futon? I'm like, hey, we just happen to have an opening. So here
What
we
do you
are.
know?
Yeah, that worked out great. And it was just a couple months ago, Eddie was here recording his newest EP. And we're really excited about that. We actually, I like to do things a little differently in my studio sometimes. Not always. Sometimes I do things like sort of the standard, get the drummer in there and record the drums and then get the bass player in there and whatever. But anytime there's a reason to justify doing something different, I like to do it. Like the songs we were doing today that Eddie was playing sax on with Alan, they were sort of 50s style songs. And so we recorded them. We recorded them with the whole band playing live, including the vocals, with 2 microphones total. One for the band, one for the voice.
So, Eddie, what instrument do you play?
I play piano, saxophone. I'm trying my hand at pedal steel.
Oh, wow.
Regular guitar, and I also play clarinet, flute, and recorder. What's interesting about those is those are new to me. So I just did a session a few days ago with those instruments for the first time with a sax, flute, clarinet, and recorder. And I think I passed the session. If I didn't pass it with flying colors, I failed it with flying colors, which is an eye-opening experience. So I'm looking forward to working with those guys again, or not. And
it doesn't matter because you're busting your ass as a musician,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're learning new instruments in order to do that, that shows a lot to your character. I love it.
Thank you. And I say or not because even if they decide not to use me because I fouled up some of the stuff, it's still an eye-opening experience. It made me eat some humble pie, which we all need now and again.
Oh yeah, a lot of musicians need that, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure Corey, you can add to that as well.
He doesn't need humble pie. What are you talking about?
No, I mean about working with musicians who need humble pie served and thrown in their face.
I think it does us all a fair bit of good.
It really does.
To have some every now and again. And I have some too, even like engineering and stuff. I'll go back and listen to something I did, 6 months ago that I just thought was the dopest shit ever. And I'll listen back to it and I'll be like, God, there was once a point in time when I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like ass.
Well, when you're drinking 8 beers a night and doing Iron Man sessions for 15 hours, you tend to have a little bit of a skewed perspective.
I only do that with you, man. So
I don't
feel
believe
special.
you. I don't believe you, Corey. I think you do that with almost every band.
You do that with every. I'm not special.
the thing about Eddie. Oh, pobrecito.
I like it when you talk Spanish to me, cabron.
The thing about Eddie is, he comes down from L.A. to record here. I always joke around that he's the only person who comes from L.A. to San Diego to record.
It's funny that you say that because that's true, but it's actually happening more and more that people are coming to San Diego to record.
I'm going to interject this. I really love San Diego. The vibe is great. The air is great. Just the energy of this town is friggin' amazing. Every time I come down here, I'm like, wow.
It is the best city in Worth. That's why they call it America's
Yeah.
finest city.
But it's
One of the most expensive, but that's okay.
yeah,
It's cheaper than L.A.
True.
But it's so much fun when he comes down because we'll have like an idea in mind for like the scope of a project. Like the last time you were down, we had 5 songs we were recording, right?
Yep.
And he came down on a Monday afternoon, and he and I sat down and just went over a couple of arrangement ideas to make sure that sort of me producing it with the musicians the next day and him as the artist and songwriter, we were kind of on the same page. And the next day, all the musicians came in, and literally they had never heard these songs before. We had no rehearsal, no nothing. Eddie and I would just play like an acoustic version of it for them. We'd tell them our arrangement ideas, and we just start working up the song. And once it was really close, we just hit record, and we recorded 5 songs in a day.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
I love this approach of recording live because it's so different from what I've done before in some of my previous projects. It's like everything was kind of damage control, everything was edited and everything, and that's fine. There's a place for that. But this, especially today, recording this live to microphone, I'd never
God,
done
that was
this.
sick.
I'd never done that
Well,
before.
yeah, when you told me about that, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, in your space, you have good soundproofing, but when I'm guessing you have to close the door to get it
Yes,
really
absolutely.
well because we got a lot of East County noise in the background, loud trucks and
East County Concierge,
Yeah.
inside joke.
Oh. Recording the way we did today is super cool because it puts all the power in the hands of the musicians. I can't do anything at mixdown to make
Yeah.
the guitar louder.
no,
Because if I made the guitar louder, I'd make the drums and the bass and the sax louder.
right.
So it's really one of the things where you have to trust the guys that you're playing with, and you have to be really aware of your level, and the whole band each has to sort of mix themselves individually and then make sure that they're sort of mixing as a unit in real time.
The way
Right.
it used to be done.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the only way they had to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember one of the Foo Fighters' more recent albums that won like best album of the year, and it was all recorded in a garage with nothing but analog equipment, and it was recorded live, and they won a Grammy or some shit like that.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a testament to the fact that just because you can doesn't mean you should in terms of production levels and different styles.
Yeah, exactly. And Eddie's music really lends itself to not like what we were doing today with Alan. That was a special thing. But, we mic up all the guitars and all the drums individually and stuff with Eddie's music.
Right.
But I don't know, Eddie, you could probably expound on this a little bit more, how like your music it's very organic sounding,
Well, before you do that, Eddie, let's go ahead and listen to one of your tracks.
Okay.
We have 3 of them here. She Loves, So Do I, and Wait a Minute. Which one do you want to start first?
Let's go with She Loves.
All right, so we're going to start with She Loves by
Eddie Salcido.
I was going to say that, but you said it first.
You had a little bit of hesitation.
That's because I lost myself on my computer. I was like, what am I doing?
The odds were stacked against her, so how did she survive? Her parents shared too close a bond for her to be alive this way. She's always had to pay for that mistake. Though her life's been one big heartache.
Wait, is that you singing?
Yeah.
Holy,
Wouldn't
we'll
change
get back
a
to that.
single thing.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
So much she's had to go through to hold on to her wings. She dreams, she cries, she does everything she can to keep her family by her side, 'cause she knows it's tough. If you're gonna make it in this life, you need a will that's strong enough. So she loves, oh yeah. She got really thirsty when she was 10 years old. The alcohol was bitter, but it kept her from the cold inside. She found a place to run and hide from herself, along with everybody else. Just a lonely little girl, yeah. Does her best to make it in this rough and tumble world. She dreams, she cries, she does everything she can to keep her family by her side, 'cause she knows it's tough. If you're gonna make it in this life, you need a will that's strong enough. So she loves, she loves. The odds were stacked against her, but somehow she survived.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, the first thing I have to comment on is your speaking voice and your singing voice are nowhere alike.
That's correct.
And I mean that as a compliment, because it blew me away. I'm like, wait. Did you send me the right songs, Cory?
Yeah, and it's funny because I've found that to be true with a lot of artists. The speaking voice and the singing voice are definitely not alike. And to me, I sound a lot younger when I sing. When I hear these recordings, when I hear these masters, I sound 15 years younger. I don't know. Maybe that's just my own bias. It probably is, but
Well, to me, when I hear somebody sing, I try not to think of age unless it's high pitched and squealing. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're 12.
right.
But other than that, it's like to me, it's more of in terms of age, it would be more towards the maturity of how they're able to sing, and that.
Correct.
But your voice just I don't know. It sounds really clear and it sounded really good. I just liked it. And would you classify yourself country?
I would. This song kind of crosses over into the pop country realm just a little bit. It reminds me sort of music my cousin Carrie used to write. But it has that little country feel. But yes, I would say my original music is country leaning, very heavily country leaning. My first EP was, I think, more heavily country leaning than this. This kind of goes into, you'll hear a little later, rock and roll a little bit and some Motown stuff. So,
well, the other thing I wanted to comment on is the production value was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank
Who did that work for you?
Cory did the engineering, and then a guy named Fabio did the mastering, and it's absolutely amazing work. I agree with you. I heard the final product and I went, wow.
Yeah, Eddie and I worked really closely together on the arrangements.
Yeah.
So as far as like where different instruments should be playing and where they should be kind of coming in and out, or
did you add anything to that track? Did you do anything yourself, Cory?
Yeah, I played the guitars on
I
it.
had a feeling that was your guitar.
Yeah, I played the guitars on that track. And so when we tracked that, we actually tracked that in this room with live acoustic drums, bass guitar, Eddie playing that keyboard over there, and I was playing a guitar, and we had this guy Ed Knold, who played pedal steel on this, and we were all tracking, and then we just went back and we added vocals and we added a few more layers of guitars, but 80% of what you just heard was all done together in one room.
Yeah, and that was my second experience doing it kind of that way with Cory.
So what is your story in terms of getting into music? Like, what brought you towards the country feel, and what got you started with the piano and your other instruments?
Well, I ever since I can remember talking, walking, breathing, I've been a musician. I started piano when I was 3.
Wow.
My mother told me that because of my blindness, I was a little bit less mobile than other kids and other infants. So she would put musical toys in my crib. So apparently I was doing that. Then my dad had some friends who were jammers. They jam every weekend, and of course I picked up on that. And then as far as country music, a little over 20 years ago now, I was working with my cousin, and he was listening to country. I was kind of in a closet about it at the time. I kind of liked a few songs, but then after one day of hearing that, I just was hooked. And then I got into classic country when I started listening to the Mac Davis show a few years later than that.
Oh, yeah.
So he was pretty cool. So I'm totally a country buff now.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, your music is definitely quality. I can tell you. Your piano, and that it adds a different challenge. And that's another thing is you're also blind,
Correct.
and I'm assuming from birth.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the piano is a very tactile instrument, but there's also the visual component of knowing where the separation is of each key. And so you have to build, I would imagine in your mind, you'd have to build a layout of the entire keyboard. And when you sit down, it's all positional. You probably feel like I guess I just don't even know how to ask that question. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's pretty linear. And in fact, I was talking with Cory about this yesterday. And I used to have a very lazy left hand, and I still do to some degree. But the piano is very linear. And what I mean by that is my left hand plays the bass a lot, and my right hand goes into the left hand territory where the left hand should be. So I've been able to get by for the past however many years I've been playing piano. But recently what I've been doing is kind of developing my left hand and and looking at the black keys and the white keys and the separation between those are the raised keys and lower keys. As far as getting into the technicality of it and using those separations as reference points.
Yeah, because that's what I would think is where you'd want to go, being blind, is to learn those separations so that you can move and kind of build a keyboard in your head.
That's been a recent phenomenon, though. So it's just been really cool to learn how other people are doing it as blind folks, and how others are teaching blind folks how to do it.
And that itself is interesting. And Cory and I touched on this a few weeks ago about how, as being a blind person, the world automatically limits you. You don't limit yourself. The world limits you because you don't have access to, and people automatically assume because you can't see, you can't do certain things. And I'm sitting in front of two people who put that completely out the window. We got an audio engineer who, engineers full band performances, and you heard what he engineered just then. And then I also have a professional piano player who sings amazingly in front of me. Those are two things that a lot of people in this world would assume a blind person can't do.
Actually, it's the other way around.
Really?
A lot of people will think that blind people can play
all
the piano.
blind people
All
are
blind
amazing
people
musicians.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
So it's
yeah.
the opposite, actually, but it really helps
Well, you're
me.
blind. You must be able to play just like Ray.
Oh.
Or Stevie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which-
so then
which-
that's the minority complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is it's funny because it's annoying as hell in one sense, and in one sense it's great because I can walk into a restaurant and say, "Hey, I want to try out for a gig playing piano." I can't walk into a restaurant and say, "Hey, I want to interview for the cook position, short order cook position," or even an administrative position. Although there's technology available for that, but it's a lot more of a hassle than just saying, "Okay, bring your keyboard."
Yeah, and most prospective employers aren't familiar with that technology.
No, they won't be. So,
But they'll know that you can play a mean piano because you're just like Ray Charles.
right. So, as annoying as that is, it's helpful. It's gotten me quick and dirty money.
Oh, that's always good.
Yeah,
Absolutely, the best kind to make.
Yes.
Do they like use you as a gimmick? Like, come see the blind pianist.
I've not.
I added a
gotten
T
that.
at the end. I added a T at the end.
Yeah,
It's not just one-eyed. It's blind.
the blind penis.
I was
Right
wondering,
here.
I was wondering who was going to be the first to crack and actually say it.
And that would be our guest, Eddie Salcido.
Oh yeah.
Eddie Salcido. Eddie, the blind penis.
The blind penis.
right.
Salcido.
See,
guys
we
are killing
can't. You can't get serious on this podcast
No,
because
you
we
can't.
will bring you right back down to the
yeah.
gutters of the streets.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm so proud of myself right now.
Yeah, you should
But-
be.
but-
You're a totally blind penis.
Yes.
I'm proud of you too, Salcido.
You ever heard
Thank
that
you.
joke about the guy who walks into a bar and the bartender hands him a lamp to make a wish, but he warns him, he's like, "Hey, I got to warn you, the genie's a little deaf, so you might not always get what you want." So the guy's like, "Oh, that's okay. I'll wish for something that, is always easy to hear." So the guy rubs the lamp, genie pops out and says, "What's your wish?" The guy says, "I want $1 million." And all of a sudden, the doors open to the bar, and a
deer
million
come
ducks
in.
start running right into the bar. And he goes, "Oh, come on, this is horrible. I didn't know your guy was that deaf." And then he goes, "Well, you see that the piano player over there?" He's like, "Yeah, he's only 12 inches tall." I said, "Do you think I really asked for a 12-inch pianist?"
That's a good joke right there.
I love it.
Oh, anyway.
Oh yeah. But
See what I mean by the gutters?
But to go back to your original question, I haven't really had to deal with that as a gimmick because I haven't allowed myself.
That's
to,
good.
But if you were 12 inches tall and blind, that would be
I'd
a
have to
gimmick.
be a gimmick.
Yeah.
There would be no question that I would have to.
Because having a 12-inch pianist would be one hell of a gimmick for your bar.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Like, would he play a full-size piano, or was it a small piano?
He'd be playing at a strip bar a lot too.
Oh, absolutely.
Come see the girls and our 12-inch penis. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and listen to another one of your tracks.
All right.
Because I do love country, and we are out in East County, so it's definitely a good tribute to the locale here. So
yeah, let's do So Do I. Let's pick it up a bit.
A little Motown. Actually.
Yeah,
a little bluesy.
Yes.
a bit.
Hit it.
Nice jazz piano bit there.
Thank y'all.
He just wants to control you. But all I want to do is hold you. He means well, but baby, I've heard tell the road to hell is paved with good intentions. We're both playing tug of war. 'Cause I know that he wants more. So do I. So do I. Want to give it to you, baby.
This has got a great energy to it.
Thanks, man.
You know I really hate it when he makes you cry. So do I. Wants to put it to you, baby, baby. So do I. Oh, what a beautiful mess we're in. We don't want to find our way out. It's gonna take a million hazmat teams to clean it up, and honey, there's no doubt he might try to make us pay, 'cause he's got a lot to say. So do I, so do I. Want to give it to you, baby, baby, so do I, so do I. No, I really hate it when he makes you cry. So do I. Wants to put it to you, baby. So do I. Hey, yeah. This casts a spell upon you, and I don't know why.
Break it down a little. Yeah.
So do I. So do I. So do I. Wants to give it to you, baby. Baby, so do I. And that's no lie. You know I really hate it when he makes you cry. And that's no lie. He wants to put it to you, baby. Baby, so do I. So do I. He wants to give it to you, baby. Baby, so do I. Baby, that's no lie. So do I. Oh, yeah. Wants to give it to you. He wants to put it to you.
So do I. After hearing that song, jeez. That sounds like it is based on a personal situation.
Yes, sir. It is.
Oh, do tell.
I'm about to say, please divulge, please.
This is juicy as hell. So, it's about a lady friend that I have.
Really? I thought it was about a dude.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, I didn't know you're
Yeah.
straight.
I'm trying to like walk the line here and be delicate. But
Wrong show.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. But basically what's happened is she and I got together, and there was there's a bit of a competition between me and the ex, who still cares about her but won't admit it. And so this was depicting a bit of like the song says, the tug of war.
Yeah.
So that's what that's about.
So it was kind of, is this a kind of F you to the guy? You're like, yeah, so do I.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
I got it,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I got
what are you
this,
gonna do
dude.
about it?
Mm-hmm.
What are you
Yeah.
gonna do about it?
That's awesome.
And it's the funny thing.
Hey,
is,
so
like,
what's
the
his name and an address so that Dusty Futon listeners can send him fucking hate mail?
Well, they don't need to send him hate mail because he doesn't have her.
That's right.
That's true.
Eddie does.
There you
so,
go.
fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Twice.
What, if that's your thing, Corey, go for it. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you don't get much by me.
So that's the story of that song, and I wrote it. It took a couple of months to write it, but once I started really getting it down, it was good, especially since I just started scribbling down on my virtual notepad. That's fun. And it's always been the case for me where there has to be inspiration. I can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to write a song about this and that and this and it's gonna conform to this formula."
Yeah. So
It
do
just
most of
doesn't
your
happen.
songs start with ideas and lyrics and your virtual notepad stuff? Like, do most of them come from that angle, or do sometimes you have a piano riff in your head and you're like, I got to put this down?
It could be either or. It could be.
What's your most enlightening way of coming into a song? Like, is it usually story based or is it riff based?
It's both. It's I would say story based.
Yeah.
Story based definitely, because there's some themes and pretty much every song either has to do with the situation I am in, was in, or I know somebody who is or was in a situation.
That's good. That's personalizing music is how you really get that emotion out of other people, because then when you put emotion into a song, it comes out and the people listening to it feel it. And that's what makes a lot of good music powerful like that, when you have a good story and a good energy into it, as well as the music behind it.
Yeah, I mean, and this one kind of hit home with me because it's basically a situation. It's a triangle situation.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to it. A lot of people won't write songs about it. A lot of people won't broadcast it, but it's there. It's a theme, and it's throughout
taboo.
Yeah, it's not taboo anymore.
No.
And that's one of the really cool things about being fortunate enough to work with Eddie is he's not afraid to tackle different subject matter lyrically, and he's also not afraid to take musical chances. Like, so I see Eddie as a guy, like, from a style perspective, where his primary sort of style, the root of everything that Eddie does, comes from a place that's kind of based in like classic country music.
Yes.
But he's not afraid to get away from that. Like, he's not trying to make a new Merle Haggard record or a new Waylon Jennings record or Hank Jr.
He's
it's
not
been done
recreating the
like that.
wheel. He's
Right.
designing something new.
And is what he does is he sort of has like this sort of classic country thing sort of in the middle of everything he does. But like with that last song, I mean, it's so Motown-y,
Yeah.
from a style perspective, but it never really steers too far away from the Eddie Salcido sound. And that's so cool because we can really pair attacking interesting subject matter with providing some interesting music to go along with it, that we don't feel like when we're working together, we don't feel like it has to be one, like that the music has to stay in this little box and
Yeah,
the
you have
lyrics
no
have
limits.
to stay in that little box.
There's-
We
there's-
just do whatever the hell we want.
Cool.
Yeah, we really do, and it's great because I can just feel that energy. It's like what Corey said earlier. It's organic energy.
Yeah.
I've not gotten that before with projects I've worked on. It's real.
That's a thing that's rare.
It's two friends having a great time.
Right, and that's one of the things I like about Corey is that he's so open to basically letting you, the artist, do you and put out what you want. And instead of telling you, well, this is what you need to do to make your record sell, it's like, well, what do you want to do? And let me help you develop that idea instead of turning it into something else. And that's what you do at your studio when you engineer for people.
Oh, absolutely. My whole goal is to figure out what, at the end of the day, what is this artist? What are they trying to accomplish? And then find a way to give that the best sonic presentation that I can. That's the end point.
And not to take anything away from you here at Ears Only Audio, there are a bunch of independent studios out there doing the same thing for all different genres of music.
Absolutely.
And so if you're an artist listening right now and you're trying to figure out an engineer to work with, make sure you work with someone you're comfortable with. Just because they say they can make you a hit album, tell them to fuck off. if an engineer or a mixer or producer says I can make you a hit album, tell them they're full of shit and go find somebody who says, what do you want to do?
Yep. Yeah, that truer words have never been spoken.
Oh, thank you.
And it doesn't matter who it is. Like I don't see myself in competition with anybody. Like we each have our own things that we're really good at, and sure there's some crossover between what I do and what some other studios do. And that's awesome. Like a lot of those guys are my friends, you know?
It's a good thing for musicians to have options.
Yeah.
More
Yes.
and better options.
And it's a really good thing for studios, engineers, producers, mixers, masters to collaborate and work with each other instead of trying to compete for business.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, we're breaking down the ethics and morals that need to be injected into an industry that has none right now.
That's a really good point.
Yep.
But we're out to change that here on the Dusty Futon by connecting and networking people like you to everybody who's listening, Cory, and another song to play for sure.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is such a cool song. This is my favorite
Well,
song
wait a minute.
on the EP.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
I'm not done. For the folks listening at home, that's the name of the next track we're going to listen to. But before we get into that, let's. I had a question and forgot, so let's just listen to the next song. You were going to intro it, Cory.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to ask Eddie to intro it because how this song came about was really funny. You were down here for my studio warming opening party.
Yes.
And you stayed here, and the next morning we ended up working on this song and pulling out a phone and recording a track of just you singing it. And
Yeah, I
playing the guitar.
just wanted to sing it, and I'm like, "Hey, Cory, what do you think of this, man?" And I played it, and he just totally loved it, and I loved that he loved it, and so we made plans to record it, and that's what we did, and it's again yet a bigger departure from the classic country, but not straying too far away.
Yeah, we got some pedal steel in it.
Yeah, we do, and we have some Hammond organ too.
Well, let's take a listen to "Wait a Minute" by Eric Salcido.
Eddie Salcido.
Did I say Eric?
Yep.
Let me try that again. That's our next guest is an
Wah,
Eric. So
wah, wah.
epic fail. So, and I'm leaving all of that in just for comic value.
Oh, good. You should.
Oh, hell yeah!
It's
I try
real.
not to edit too much out because it's just
Screw that.
yeah, it's all real. You need to know what's real instead of the fake bullshit. So,
Yep.
but what's real is Eddie Salcido, and this next track we're going to listen to. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute before your lips meet mine. I want to tell you something that's weighing heavy on my mind, and you better listen to every word I had to say. If you want to live to fight another day, I don't want to break your heart. Oh, I don't want it to be over long before it starts. I can't imagine my life without you in it. So before we go too far too fast, we better wait a minute and hold the phone. 'Cause neither one of us wants to be alone. We might wind up in each other's arms.
This song has a very comfortable memory feel, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even explain it. It's just, it takes you back. And sorry to talk over your sax solo, but it's got a beautiful sound.
Don't wanna cause you too much pain. No. Don't wanna get caught up in a bad thing again. 'Cause we've been trampled on so many, many times before. Drunk in the gutter, passed out on the floor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Without you, I just can't keep living. But before we go too far, we better wait a minute.
By the way, I love that conversation between the guitar and the sax. That is like one of my favorite things when I see two competing instruments do that.
Yeah, that's what we were aiming for, and we were hoping not to have them compete, but just like you said, converse with each other. And
Yep.
that was Cory's idea, and it was a very good one, and it's great.
It's interesting. That song, like I said, it's kind of like a memory song, but it's not a song you remember. I mean, you'll remember the song, but what I mean is that it invokes a memory that is not directly related to the song you hear. And that memory is like, it's weird. It's like almost a comfortable feeling of the 50s plus the 60s. And with the sax, it's like plus the 80s, like late 80s, early 90s, that beautiful sax solo sound. Like there's so much enveloped in that song. I love it.
Thank you. It was great for me to write it too. It was pretty much an autobiographical song again because I get impulsive, and this was a reminder to myself to wait just a goddamn minute here.
Yeah.
And hold it.
Yep.
Eddie Salcido getting impulsive about women again.
Yeah.
No, you don't say.
It must be a guy thing. So you're up in LA.
Yes.
So what brings you down here other than the recording?
Well, being here with Cory, I've known Cory for years and years, and what brings me down here is just the camaraderie that I have with him and his whole family, plus the recording is just an added bonus. He only started getting into this recording thing a few years ago, a couple of years ago, so he's been a road musician, more of a road horse, and now he just does the recording a lot.
He's definitely a horse that's been rode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's hear about that more.
No. So do you perform out here in San Diego?
I do not.
We're working on that right now.
Good.
I actually perform pretty much a lot of solo gigs, a lot of solo lounge lizard type of jobs playing piano. And I want to branch out more toward doing the band thing, doing this kind of stuff, doing my original things.
Well, this is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Do you have a website that people, or social media that people can follow you to find out when you're going to be here?
I do, and it's Rednexican, REDNEXICAN.net, rednexican.net.
Oh my God.
And
He's so happy. I could just hear him smiling over there, going, "Yes, I am on the freaking radio saying Rednexican."
Oh
.net.
my God, I love it too.
Yeah, and it's because I'm half Mexican, half Hispanic, whatever you want to call it. And I love country music, so I put the two together, a redneck Mexican. Rednexican. So
Nice.
that's how I came up with that. I've been using that moniker for, about 15 years now, and it fits.
So is that your handle on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook too?
Not Facebook, but it is on Twitter. It's Rednexican75. You can follow me there. You can follow me, Eddie Salcido, SALCIDO. And Eddie with an IE. So just look me up. I'm the guy in Woodland Hills.
All right, Woodland Hills. So
Playing with the guitar. That's my profile pic on Facebook.
So Cory, you said you're working on getting him down here. So what's the word on that?
We're just working on putting a live band together for him to sort of recreate these songs on stage, and I think we pretty much have the players that we want to use. So it's going to be a matter of getting us all together in the same room and hashing out a show in a couple of rehearsals, and then getting it up on stage.
Yep.
So make sure you follow him on social media, and because you'll be down here hopefully sooner than later.
Hopefully sooner than later. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for taking the time to sit here on the Dusty Futon with us, and that's all I got. You got anything, Cory?
Hey, thanks, Eddie.
Hey, thank you, Cory.
Want some candy?
Oh,
Hey, I just want to say one
want
thing.
to buy some candy?
Aw.
Make sure you drive safe. Keep your eyes on the road.
All right, we'll do.
And your hands upon the wheel.
What kind of fun would that be?
That's true.
I'm just gonna stick my cane out the window and use it as a damn windshield wiper.
That'd be funny to drive down the road with like your cane out there so you can feel the bumps.
I actually want to do I think it'll go viral. I'm going to do a video because I've already done a video going through a drive-through and asking if they have Braille menus. But I think it would also be really funny to go down a road with like a road you can go really slow on,
Right.
but shoot a video of it, like the driver holding his out the window and then a passenger holding a out the passenger window.
Feeling
and then,
like spinning
yeah,
around, feeling
yeah,
for the bumps
yeah,
and stuff.
and then another blind person with their
Yes.
That's a great addition.
it would get 1 million views.
I think it would go viral.
It would
would.
totally go viral.
now
is
that
worth
everybody has my fucking idea,
Well, you know what? I'll bleep certain aspects of it so people don't know. Like,
there you go.
I'll bleep Kane out of every single part of that. So they won't get the point at all.
They're gonna be like, "Why is he bleeping it out? Does that mean they were sticking their dicks out the window?"
That would make it even funnier.
Yeah, there you go. Just
might
add
do
to the
that.
mystique of it all.
I love the random. I learned that in radio. I used to be in radio, and I learned the random bleeps are just sometimes they're just orchestrated just for the hell of it, so
Yes.
that you have no idea what they really are saying,
Yes.
and you make up your own dirty word.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea. Like play ad lib.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. He stuck his beep.
Out
I
the
don't know what the
window.
beep she was talking about. Well, that one's easy. That was bad. That was a okay. I'm not a good improv guy. I
Bad
swear.
example.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, anyway.
Better luck next time.
And we'll end it on that sour note. Eddie, thank you so much again for coming out.
Thank you
And-
for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. And definitely Cory's pleasure as well.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
No, really. Thank you, Eddie Salcido, for taking a seat on the Dusty Futon at Ears Only Audio Studio in Lakeside. And big thank you to Cory Wilkins for helping host this episode and for letting us record in his studio in Lakeside. I'm Big John, engineer, editor, and producer of this production of the Dusty Futon LLC. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to get all the newest episodes. You could find out how on dustyfuton.com. If you love what we are doing and want to support our cause like Nicholas, Rick, and our many other supporters, please consider going to patreon.com/thedustyfuton and pledging to support for as little as $1 a month. Thank you again for listening to this episode of The Dusty Futon.